Just
Oh, sorry.
quickly, I mean, it's been what, 2 months ago? We were promised another 200,000. We received 100,000 of that, correct?
They still owe us 200, yes.
So we've
So
got
three
three of the five.
We've got three, okay. So, and do we have any time frame at all, any idea of the time frame for the other 200 to get us to where, what we initially wanted to be at?
I think my idea of going to January 27th is just to see where, where Bill's costs are at and how far he's made. And, maybe maybe there does need to be the other 200, or maybe there does. That was just my thought on it. And they'll have a better idea on, if they're gonna even drill or not. So I think that was my thought behind that, is we'll have a better idea of if it can be fixed for the whole 300, if we don't have to take another 200, great. If we need more, then we ask for more.
Revisit it now.
I have a question too. Am I, because if we continue on this current rate that we're working on the road, and like I said, we are just doing we are not going from the highway to the well pad. By the January 27th, we will be over 100,000, which is the third item coming up. So do we continue with that and then just report what we've spent at that time? Or do you want us to try and stop at the 100,000?
So that
Mark?
item's coming up in number
Just wait.
3, so let's just talk about that one. The open item 3.
We're still on, we have a motion and a second, motion by Travis and a second by Lori on item number 1. We had a couple of comments. Does anybody else have anything? Then I'll look for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, passed unanimous. Item 2, discussion for possible action, approval of resolution 2020-83 to reopen County Road 1177 from Highway 50 to turn off for oil rig, while 1177 south of the oil rig turnoff is to remain closed. Again, Vice Chairman Travis, District Attorney Mike, Finance Director Elizabeth, and Public Works Director Bill.
So just to explain, so where the oil rig is south, that's the area Bill's working on right now, and that was ruined by, the other parties. All Western Oil, if they were allowed to drill by BLM, would be utilizing north from the turnoff up. So that is why, we're still keeping that south road closed till Bill finishes the repairs there, and that's not gonna be used anyway, by heavy traffic, once that's done. So that explains the
Okay.
wording here.
Any questions of Travis on that, or Mike, Elizabeth, Bill, anybody got any input? Okay, looking for that, I'll look for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Motion by Travis,
Second.
second by Ian. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None, passed unanimous. Now to item 3 on page 4. It's discussion, possible action, and approval to move $100,000 from Western Oil's county road bond balance to an operating account for the road department. This $100,000 will be used for road repairs by the road department on roads affected by Western Oil. The remaining $200,000 will remain as a bond in event of default by Western Oil Commission. And again, Travis, Mike, Elizabeth, and Bill. How's that?
Everybody?
Okay, so originally, when the county had requested this bond, they were to sit in the bank in case, in case Western Oil were to abandon the project and leave us with a destroyed road. Then we could utilize those funds at that time and invoice against it, and let our maintenance guys, our road guys do it, and then invoice against it and provide documentation to Western Oil how we're using it. If they could fix the entirety of the project out there, the roads, and there's still funds remaining, those would be returned to Western Oil. And that was the original intent of requiring the $500,000 from Western Oil. I had suggested to James Franklin, and with Bill's consent, that if they truly need the county to assist with reconstructing those roads, because it's likely cheaper than a contractor, we just have so much to do out there, then, and Bill kicked them, I think, some rates of what it would cost for hourly and equipment for Western Oil to allow Bill's team to do it, just to, so the county taxpayer is not paying. It's just like reimbursement, there's no profit. Okay? in an email correspondence from James Franklin, he wasn't too excited about that. He would rather use the 100,000, the money that they're giving us now to invoice against for Bill's time and labor out there. Okay, so that's what this item is. Travis is asking that we go ahead and just utilize a third of the money we have on hand to get moving on some of the road out there right now with Bill's team.
And I mean, I wouldn't be asking for this, but there is the sheep rancher that needs to come through there in March, so, you know, we need to do something for him. If it was just a road that no one else used, then, yeah, this would be a different situation.
And to tag on to your comment, Travis, for the road department, there's a lot of projects that we do that we can only do during warm weather in White Plain County. That window's short enough. We don't want this project to bleed into those months that we do our oil, our stabilization projects and things like that. To me, that's my biggest concern. I don't want this down the road affecting other projects. The timing, project's not good for us because we're so busy, but the timing is good. At least we can handle it right now, so.
One of the things, you can kind of split the baby here and say, just get things going, the county commission can offer, but even if the county commission authorized the use of that $100,000 now, we probably still want to get Western Oil's written consent that they're okay with us using up that funds now.
I have it on an email.
Okay, so, splitting the baby, you could use the first 100,000 to get the project going, but insist or communicate with that, remember that satisfactory arrangement agreement? That would be something where, going forward, so we can still reserve some money as a bond after the project is completed, that if, after the first 100,000, if Western Oil wants our road department to do that work out there, Bill's gonna have to send an invoice monthly and have it paid, so we can reserve those savings. All I'm trying to do is balance, protect the county. Hold on to that, and if Western Oil contracts and we end up maintaining those roads out there and reimbursed, and everything's back together, we can give those monies back to Western Oil in its entirety when it's all completed. But we don't wanna spend all that money now while the project's still going, because over the next spring, those roads could be destroyed again. And we're left with no money to make us whole, and then BLM will come knocking on our door, because it's our responsibility. So those are some of the considerations to that.
I have a question.
I have one.
So, out of the $100,000, that 21,000 is already out of it to go ahead and pay for what's already been done, correct?
Correct.
So, okay, approximately. So how far will the other 80,000 get you? Because I would like to see a not to exceed the 100,000. That, and I would like to see this in black and white and have a signature to it.
I don't know if the 100,000 will get us from the well pad, south to 1204. Probably gonna be short, for those figures, but I am, depending on what happens with this, I'm looking to contract out, or perhaps lease a dozer for 30 days to open up that gravel pit, which is north of Highway 50. So if something were to happen, we have material that we can go forward with. Like I said, for me, timing's such a huge issue for us. So, and I would like to send an invoice, like you said, I can do it every 2 weeks and just keep sending it to James. And not stop at a certain threshold, and just keep the commission updated as to how those payments are proceeding, or I'm not really sure.
Let's hear from Elizabeth.
It's well within our right to use those funds, but it may not be prudent if those roads are gonna get re-destroyed next spring. That's my point. That was meant to be end of project bond, to ensure that Western Oil was going to maintain those roads, repair the roads, and then should they fail at doing that, we had some assurities. That was the purpose of that money. If we need to get something going because of weather, get the gravel open, I told Bill to go ahead and use some of it to get the gravel open, because that is the first step anyway. That's something this commission has to decide politically.
Elizabeth, you wanna say something?
That is my concern as well. This is end of project money, so right now, we're doing interim maintenance on, this is not part of the road that remains closed, it's the road that's open and still being utilized.
Yeah.
No, that's,
It's all closed.
no,
It's
that's
all
not
closed.
correct. It's all closed.
This road, that, once he's done with it, they're not gonna be, the rig's not gonna come out on that road.
No.
So this, once this part of the road's done, it's, you know, it's not gonna experience, you know, just the regular hunter or sheep ranch or what, it's not gonna have any abuse. But
So
where the-
it will not incur any more possibility of damage by Western Oil once you've done the repairs. Then we're meeting the purpose of the bond. If there's possibility of damage, by Western Oil after the fact that Bill does the repairs, then we're not meeting the purpose of the bond.
Cause we should be careful, because there's still water at Hamilton, and there's still gravel at Hamilton, right?
Mhm.
And that will may be tempting to bring it up the south part of that road that we have just repaired.
Absolutely.
So it's not entirely secure that those roads will be redestroyed after we apply this $100,000 to fix. What we wanna avoid is Western Oil shortcutting the private industry and saying, I can save a grip of money by just making Bill do it off of this $300,000 they gave, okay? That's not the intent of this money.
No.
It's okay to get it started or whatever, if that's the will of the board, but just be cognizant of that.
James, you got anything to say?
You know, all I can say is I appreciate everybody's work. We know this can't be done without water and gravel. This has been the problem from, I think, the very get-go. And also the, you know, without getting into the background of where these damages originated, we think once these roads are prepared correctly, they won't be re-damaged in the fashion that they were damaged before. The equipment that we're going to be, you know, the rig, we're gonna attempt to get this, this hole completed and drilled. And then, you know, keep working on this road. Again, this road is important not just for us, but for the sheep herder down here and others that go down this road. So, you know, our intent is to continue to maintain this road and continue to be a good citizen.
And yeah, I mean, the only reason like I said, the only reason I bring this forward is if we just sit on it and nothing happens, then, you know, the sheep herder, he's gonna be out of luck. And, you know, that's just what I'm trying to have though, so at least he can get through here somehow. And you know, he took a sheep to another pasture this fall just to avoid this whole area, but he comes back up through in March, so. I obviously, you know, if it was a different circumstance, you know, I wouldn't be open to it with private industry and whatnot, but, you know, that gentleman has called me dozens and dozens of times trying to get something done, so.
Just,
So,
I'm
oh, I'm
sorry.
sorry, go ahead.
My question is, because we're looking to contract with locals for opening up some of these pits and moving forward with that, I guess I have a little concern that we're trying, it's a county pit, and we're gonna have a local contractor open that up and invoice us for it if we approve the 100,000. That's kind of what I'm waiting for. But then I would rather use that 100,000 towards that and then rebill, I'm not sure that's the word I'm looking for, Western Oil or James Franklin for it. To not really use that funds, but to have it as a guarantee, because it's a county pit and we have to contract with somebody to open it up. I don't think James Franklin could contract somebody to use one of our pits without us being involved. And I want some assurity for our locals that are helping.
So let me see if I understand.
Probably didn't explain it good.
No, I think I do understand. So, what you're saying is we've got, you know, money over here that was put up as this bond, and you're wanting to get this gravel pit done, use the money we have here to pay for it, but with the expectation that we're gonna be invoicing Western Oil to pay for that, and maybe refill that $100,000 that just got depleted out of the bond, am I understanding?
Yeah, I would make sure that we didn't exceed, at least with contracting, over that 100,000. I just don't want me to work with a local contractor.
So it would be, we're not reducing, the intent is not to reduce the bond. We're just giving ourselves some space until he gets the money to pay for it, so we're not waiting out of pocket. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
So if this number 3 is approved, we'll use that 100,000 to to make it whole with the contractor, and then we re-invoice James, I guess is the way I wanna say that, for the work that the contractor
And
just
then when
did.
he
We're
pays
just
it-
transferring bills, and it's a surety that
Goes back into the bond.
it goes back, so that 100,000, it drops and fills back up, and
Then I
If
see
we
that-
don't do that, then it's coming out of your budget, right?
And that's, yeah, that will not happen.
yeah.
Well,
So-
basically, if we don't do this, then Bill has to stop work.
Yeah.
And we have 300,000 in an account, but the real issue here is not being solved. If we move
Exactly.
some of that over, which we only had 200,000 last meeting, so we got another 100, so we're not in a worse position than we were
Yeah,
a
but
meeting
it's
ago.
only 80.
80, after his billing. I don't care either way, this thing is a mess, but, this is where, it's basically, we sit and do nothing, or we try to make the situation better. And that's kind of where we're at with all this. That's the two options.
It's been slow, but the ball's been moving down the road, so I'm less discouraged.
Anyone else got a comment for what we are about to do?
Yeah, I'm really not comfortable with this at all. This is end of project money, and that was always the intent, and to bust it out and start using it now, I'm just not comfortable with it at all. I think if we can invoice this in pieces, the 21, and then go back and hit, and we see this bond, I mean, I could say the bond stays whole, but we're still 200,000 shy of meeting what the benchmark we set out for the bond to be originally. And if we were sitting on the full 5 and we wanted to take 100 and work with it, yeah, I might consider that. But when we're still 200,000 shy of meeting the benchmark that we set originally, to go ahead and start stripping this down now, when there's still a long ways to go, I'm just not comfortable with it.
So would we want Bill to invoice this 21,000 and then leave the 300 as the bond?
That would be the alternative.
Well, he would
That
have,
would be
he
my-
still
I
has to
still
go
have-
ahead and get the dozer, or he has to.
Well,
do
that's
the
what I'm
work
saying,
for
is that would all stop. He invoices 21,000 and that's it, because the bond cannot be used when the agreement is in place.
And once the 21's paid, then continue from there.
Yeah, I mean, I get, if we do $20,000 chunks and then if they don't pay it, then we don't reinstate, and then he gets that from the bond.
I just don't, I totally understand your concerns, I just,
Like the chicken
If we
and
don't do
egg.
it
if we
now,
do nothing, we're gonna be there this summer.
Right.
Yeah.
And the 300 that's there is what we're gonna be using. At least if we invoice as we go, has the potential for additional funds to come in through through invoicing. And if that's through a contractor, like, I don't even think James could contract with somebody to open our pits. So that means we gotta do it, and the reason I'm looking to contract with for a dozer is we don't have time. We just don't. We
Yeah.
gotta get this done, or
We do it now, we do it later, but we're gonna be in
I
the
understand
bind for
your
the money.
concern totally, I just don't.
And I mean, the piece of
We're
road
stuck.
that we can keep, if anyone has concerns, even when he's done with that south road, we can keep that closed. And
As the
till
agenda is.
till Western Oil is no longer in White Pine County, we can, preserve that or whatnot, have that understanding, definitely in an agreement going forward.
meaning that's being done as if.
That
it
that's
was
like
the
sacred
project.
ground, till they can't touch that,
Yeah, once that's done, it's untouchable.
yeah.
You know, we got into some of this mess because there wasn't a good agreement, a good
Right.
solid agreement in place. That's why I'm looking to see all this verbiage that we're talking about is not down in black and white. Not that, I mean.
Well, we don't have an agreement yet, other
Yes.
than the bond. We do have the bond language.
Hello, this is O'Neill.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Hi, O'Neill Scott. And I wanted to share that when we initially started, the number was 3.5 million that was being thought that would take to repair the roads. We found out from going through different examinations that we got down to where we had new resources available to us, and we've been in conversation with Bill Calderwood of the roads department. There's gravel that's local now. There's a pending water well that will be made right near it. And so based upon that information, in the conversation that we were having with Bill, he addressed that it would cost approximately $100,000 to do all the repairs because it was a game changer in having these assets. And so that is how we got to this point. And we're still very committed to moving forward and getting everything completed. And we're working with the county. So I just wanted to bring that out.
I suggest that Bill moves forward, because he's gotta do it anyway, sends an invoice to Western Oil. You know, if Western Oil doesn't pay down, next, as it's being invoiced, we have our mitigation fund down the road. But it is in Western Oil's best interest to pay those invoices as we're going forward, so they can continue to get the county support. We just can't have Bill undertaking county taxpayer funds and doing work on our road to service a private organization.
Right.
So, that'd be my proposal. The money's still there. They can send the invoice, Western Oil can choose to pay it or not at their own peril.
And that includes contracting as,
Yeah.
right? And I'll just give Western Oil a heads up before, I can invoice them weekly if that works better for you, James, or however you wanna do it. And I can let you know what those cost proposals are for, dozer, and so you'll know right up front before you get the invoice.
And they can reject it and say we're not paying it, and then we have our options, and we have our funds to tap into.
I would do weekly, that way they know, so we don't get too far ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
We're- we're-
Yeah.
This stacks real fast.
Yeah,
Weekly and net 15.
yes.
Yeah.
So James, are you understanding what we're talking about? Basically, we'll keep your 300,000 in the bond account, we won't take an action on this item, and then Bill will just start invoicing you, and then,
On a weekly basis.
on a weekly basis, and then as long as
Yeah, 15.
you make those payments, we'll keep the agreement going. If you don't make those payments, then we'll, close it all down again, and then at that point, Bill, to get those funds, we'll raise the bond.
Yeah, I understand what you said. It was not my understanding of what we agreed to.
But we didn't agree to nothing, the board never voted, so.
Right, I'm saying that, yeah, we'll have to do that. Invoice us and we'll pay those invoices.
Very good.
Okay.
All right.
Is that good, Mike?
Yeah, because ideally, all that money we refunded to Western Oil at the end anyway. If
Right,
we get this
it's
done in this,
bond.
if we get this done in this matter, that money just sits as an insurance policy, and then all gets refunded to Western Oil.
Right.
So Bill, in the second meeting in January, you'll have a few bills out, so just be prepared to present us with which ones of those have been paid, which ones are standing. If there's any bills that are late, then, the board obviously has to take action, but then, we'll terminate everything again. And,
You gotta remember, we're an unwilling partner in this project. So, I know it's not ideal for Western Oil, but we're doing the best we can for the taxpayer.
so do you understand everything, James?
Yes, sir.
All right, and that's January the 27th, so please be on the call.
We'll be there.
All right, thank you.
So, okay, Mike, help me with this motion
We
here.
don't need one.
We don't need more, we're just gonna leave it as.
The road's open, the
Yeah,
agreement's in
that was
place
the
till,
benefit, the road was open for them.
the road's open till the 27th, and the, agreement, quote unquote, arrangement till the 27th of January.
Okay,
Okay, so
Thank you,
we've
that was
had
a
this
discussion.
discussion.
okay. Item 4 is discussion for possible action, the approval of the minutes from the road department. Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to approve the minutes.
Move to approve as presented.
Motion by Shane,
This has been a Georgetown production. George Chachis reporting.